Straight ahead on 12 News, a doctor working in Liberia appeals to local residents for help in defeating the Ebola crisis in that country. Then,
the peanut butter and jelly French toast, it rocks. It really rocks.
From a Robbinsdale kitchen to the state fair, check out this new fair food. But first, stolen credit cards, thousands of dollars lost, and police look for a suspect. 12 News starts right now. It started with stolen valuables taken from cars in Plymouth. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Johnson.
And I'm Alexandra Renslow. Now there's thousands of dollars in fraudulent charges across the metro.
They seem to be targeting, vehicles that are unlocked, and then taking purses or other valuables that are laying around.
Plymouth police are investigating 7 theft from auto cases, including 3 that occurred at this dog park along County Road 42. Credit cards stolen from those vehicles are now racking up charges at retailers across the metro, and they're often being used to purchase gift cards.
They range anywhere from $800 to up to $10,000 in credit card fraud and purchases of gift cards from various retailers. And oftentimes, I think the gift cards, they like those because they're very hard to track.
Take a close look at these photos. Plymouth police have identified this woman as a suspect. She was seen using one of the stolen credit cards. If you recognize her or you have any information, call the Plymouth Police Department.
2 men now face murder charges in the death of a Brooklyn Center man. Rufino Clara Rendon was killed 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis and his body burned. Manuel Guzman of Minneapolis and Guillermo Ayala Enriquez of Brooklyn Center both face second-degree murder charges. According to the criminal complaint, the 2 men thought Clara Rendon would tell a drug dealer that they had robbed him. They shot Rendon and then rolled his body in a mattress, drove it to a gas station, and set it on fire. Police say they have video from the gas station of the men buying 2 gas cans. If convicted, they could serve 40 years in prison. The Ebola outbreak in West Africa has struck a chord with many in the Northwest Metro who have family members living in that part of the world.
The CDC reports more than 1,300 people have died from Ebola in Africa. And as Delane Cleveland reports, a doctor who has seen it firsthand is visiting Minnesota to collect supplies and educate the public.
This is a complicated issue. It will take us a while to get through this.
Dozens packed into Brooklyn Park City Hall Wednesday night.
We'd just like to express our support for this discussion.
To find out more about the deadly Ebola virus.
If we don't take care of this now, we can all be at risk, especially all of us here in Minnesota, because it's the largest group of Liberians are right here in Minnesota.
And to learn an important message from the people who have seen the effects of the outbreak firsthand.
Ebola is not a death sentence, number 1, and number 2, that we need to do more education.
Dr. Alfredma Cheser runs a private medical clinic in Liberia. Her hope is that the people here will educate their families in Liberia about Ebola, some of whom may deny its existence.
They're in denial for multiple different reasons, some of which are just plain ignorance, some of which are just can't conceive the notion of this disease that can just kill you within 21 days of contacting the disease.
This Liberian native from Champlin has a vested interest in what Dr. Cheser had to say.
My vast majority of my relatives are all back home in Liberia.
He plans to let his family in West Africa know about what he learned here this evening.
They need to take health workers' advice, what government tells them to do. They need to just go according to what government tells them to do.
Meantime, despite the number of deaths and the hysteria caused by the Ebola outbreak, Dr. Cheser says the risk of it coming to Minnesota is minimal.
In theory, it could happen, but most likely not. But still, we need to have people to respond positively and can help us to get this under control so that it doesn't come on American soil.
Well, in addition to educating people, Dr. Cheser is also in the Twin Cities to gather medical equipment and supplies to take back to Liberia in a few weeks. For more information on how you can help, you can go to our website at 12.tv. Mike?
All right, Delane, thanks. The home building boom continues to grow in Plymouth as city officials approved dozens of new home sites in one night. Plymouth's Planning Commission okayed plans for 123 new homes in 4 separate developments last night. This 28-acre site near the intersection of County Road 47 and Lawndale Lane will be called Ridgecrest at Elm Creek. It'll be divided into 57 single-family lots. City officials say they've been in a building boom for a couple of years now.
We were actually quite busy all the way through the recession with new lot platting and new homes. We're averaging around 250 homes a year. Oftentimes what you'll see is they'll get approval of a large project, but then it will come in phases over multiple years.
And city officials credit their location, the school district, and a supply of open land for being popular with home builders. Another site near Bass Lake Road and Nathan Lane was first approved back in 2006, but because of the economic downturn, the builder waited until now to build on it.
There is nothing like getting delayed by road construction you didn't expect, but MnDOT says working road projects at night should help reduce daytime congestion. At the same time, they're asking drivers to be extra cautious for workers in construction zones. For example, they're working to rebuild the Brooklyn Boulevard Bridge over Highway 100 in the evening. Officials say pouring concrete works better in the cooler evening hours, and usually it's safer on busy roads in the evening because traffic volumes are lower. But MnDOT is also asking drivers to be extra cautious in those work zones at night. The Minnesota State Fair is a tradition for many local families.
And volunteering at the fair is tradition for one Robbinsdale group. The Robbinsdale OES Dining Hall is one of the longest-running diners at the fair, and this year, reporter Shannon Slatton explains why they decided to do something different.
Come on inside, folks. Don't have to eat your food in the street.
A steamy start at the Minnesota State Fair.
We have breakfast here that we serve starting at 7 a.m.
Doesn't keep people from finding the food and fun of this end of summer tradition.
Breakfast, breakfast, breakfast. Come on inside, folks. Home-style cooking right from downtown Robbinsdale.
With so many choices for those who can't decide.
Scrambled eggs, sausage, hash browns, blueberry pancakes, wild rice pancakes, biscuits and gravy. Oh, so good.
They could get reeled in.
It'll stick to your ribs and other parts of your body.
This right here is our line where everybody gets the food.
And maybe fall in love with a new favorite.
Yeah, we got a new food this year, which is the peanut butter and jelly French toast.
This is where the magic happens, most definitely.
Since 1937, the Robbinsdale OES Dining Hall has served up breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I think it's time to make a change, and we needed to make a change after 77 years of having the same menu.
It looks so delicious.
So this year, they cooked up something new.
It's a majority of people that are getting the peanut butter and the French toast, yes.
What child doesn't like a PBJ French toast?
For $5, this is what you get. The newest sensation at the State Fair, peanut butter and jelly French toast. It's crisp and sweet on the outside, creamy peanut butter and jelly on the inside. What's not to like? I liked it, and I'm not alone.
It rocks. It really rocks.
Delicious, actually. There's enough peanut butter in it to feed an army.
You gotta try everything at least once.
Much of the opening day crowd was out to try the new food.
It literally melts in your mouth.
It is awesome, just awesome.
With volunteers hoping this new food is one that will stick around.
And this is a good thing for all of us, and we're excited about it.
At the Minnesota State Fair, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
And the Robbinsdale OES Dining Hall also added a few healthy and gluten-free dining options. It's located between the food building and the giant slide. Now, how many of those could you eat?
Yeah, depends on what else you've had, right?
Coming up, we'll see why some vegetable gardens aren't looking so well these days.
And then a little bit later in sports, Totino Grace will try to keep up a great run of success on the football field.
But first, a check of your AccuWeather forecast.
Some gardens around the metro aren't looking too good these days. They're suffering from blight and other diseases.
Reporter Sonia Goins goes in the garden now to show us what you can do about those problems.
In this garden we have orange peppers, basil, lavender, and some other herbs.
There's nothing like fresh vegetables out of the garden, but some crops are coming up short this year.
Right now we're seeing what is commonly called a late blight, which is actually a fungus that is caused from bacteria in the soil.
Blight can cause plants not to bear as much fruits and vegetables.
It starts at the bottom leaves and travels up.
You most often see blight on tomatoes, but it could happen to any vegetable, like this zucchini plant.
That is not a healthy plant. That is showing late blight. The new leaves are fine, but the older leaves are showing the blight, and this has actually happened in about the last week.
You could avoid blight by simply changing the way you water your plants.
It's just something that occurs when you water and the dirt splashes up. So we do recommend if you water at the base with lower pressure.
Our roller coaster weather this spring and summer is also stressing plants.
We're seeing some dieback of like cucumbers and zucchini early because it got so hot. If you get them to a certain point and if you aren't picking them fully, they can start to go into decline.
But don't give up on your garden. You can still get a bumper crop.
You can still plant a lot of stuff. We're coming into a fall season too in September where you can do your fall lettuce, broccoli, spinach and things like that because they like cooler temperatures.
For In the Garden, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
And to help control that blight, you can spray it with a fungicide. It won't cure what's already there, but it will prevent it from spreading to other leaves. Well, coming up, standing under a front-end loader filled with water was colder than they expected. We'll explain in just a moment.
But first in sports, Terry Tuma drops by for his weekly fishing tip. Jay Wilcox has that and more when we come back.
Well, I would think it'd be a difficult challenge if you take on bigger schools, but Totino Grace seems to take it right in stride.
Yeah, they've got such a great football program that I don't think it seems to faze them, and they actually kind of like that, being the little guy a little bit. The Totino Grace football team doesn't seem to miss a beat as it moves up in class. The Eagles made it all the way to the state semifinals in Class 6A last year, but they insist wins and losses are not their top priority. Here's Jason Malillo with today's training camp report.
Totino Grace football can lay claim to 9 state titles, so clearly it's a program that knows how to win. But the secret to the Eagles' success might be not thinking too much about winning.
Yeah, I've done this for a long time. I would never define success based on the scoreboard. You know, I understand that they're keeping score and we're competitive, but success goes beyond that. And I'm gratified with the type of men I have coaching with me and the type of kids we get.
TG players call their team a brotherhood, and there is a family-like atmosphere with this team. There's also zero intimidation, despite constantly facing bigger schools.
Numbers are numbers, but it's 11 guys on each side on the field at once, so it comes a lot down to heart and who wants it more, and it's kind of fun being the smaller school and coming out and getting to play schools like that. It's a great honor to be able to play against them.
Grace will put a lot of good athletes on the field this fall. Lance Bennick will take the snaps with Kez Flomo leading a strong backfield.
I started at the bottom, now I'm here, so I'm ready to take on that role and lead this team into a bright future. And our linemen are very good, so we're just building off each other. And I'm just playing my role, and they're playing their role, and therefore we're going to be successful, I think.
On defense, the Eagles will look to linebackers TJ McDonald and Preston McCasey, as well as strong safety Ben Mazinga, who will also start on offense. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
The Eagles were 9-3 last year, with 2 of the losses coming to Eden Prairie. Jeff Ferguson has an amazing record of 138-16 as Grace head coach. 6 starters are back on each side of the ball, with a couple of them in new spots this fall. Totino Grace opens the season at home against Anoka next Thursday. Friday at 4 o'clock, a look at the Maple Grove Crimson. The continued athletic and fine arts excellence of a school in the northwest suburbs has earned them another award. Wayzata is repeated as Challenge Cup champions for Class 3A for the 2013-2014 school year. The Challenge Cup is an award given out by the Minnesota State High School League since 2003 based on a point system for tournament success in each sport. It's the second consecutive win for Wayzata, which had state team champs in boys and girls cross country, girls golf, boys tennis, girls and boys swimming and diving, and girls Nordic skiing. Blake won in 2A and Dawson Boyd in Class A. All 3 are repeat champions. Totino Grace was second in 2A. Having a good feel of when a fish strikes your line is going to help you hook a lot more fish. Terry Tuma shows us one method in this week's Channel 12 fishing tip.
I've had so many people ask me, especially when I take them fishing, is how do you hold your rod and your reel? And the reason I do this is because I call it the ultimate feel in a bite. If I'm fishing whack-worm, Texas rigging, casting spinnerbaits, casting crankbaits for walleyes or whatever it may be, I'll take the bait caster, sort of hold it in the palm, but I always run my forefinger underneath the line. This is ultimate feel, and it's amazing how it's going to enhance that feel. Sure, you can have a good rod, but this is the ultimate in this factor. And we obviously know that we do it with spinning reels for fishing walleyes with live bait rig, but I do for every species of fish, including the wintertime. And then too, when I'm retrieving, I don't retrieve just in a straight line, no matter, again, crankbaits or spinner baits or Texas rig, whatever it is I'll move the rod tip back and forth, and change in speed and change in direction catches the fish. And always when you're retrieving too, don't just cast and retrieve, cast and retrieve. Vary your retrieves. Stop and go, rip it, bounce it off a dock post or rip it off some weeds. And what happens then is if you get a strike, then you want to continually do that procedure, if you will, or that method. It's going to enhance your success. And also too, I always watch when I'm retrieving up close to the boat, I always watch my lure, no matter what type of bait it is again, to see if there's a fish follow. If there's a fish follow, that tells me I'm either fishing too slow, maybe too fast, and so then you have to adjust accordingly. Be sure to tune in next week for another tip right here.
Who knew you had to actually pay attention to how you were reeling them in?
Thanks, Jay. Straight ahead, a fun way to raise serious money.
Why these police officers allowed a front-end loader to dump gallons of cold water on them. We'll be right back.
And finally, you have seen the video of people all over the country getting doused with those cold buckets of water.
Yeah, for a good cause. And now some cops in Golden Valley are taking a cold water challenge for a different reason.
Here we go. No one move. Just hit it. Oh, do it fast.
Oh, that looks cold even on a hot, humid day like this. Several Golden Valley officers accepted the challenge to raise money and awareness to help maintain a memorial web page that's dedicated to police officers.
It's a resource for families of law enforcement officers that have been killed in line of duty throughout the country. It also tracks all of that information, how to stay safe, and what we're all here for is officer safety and to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in the line of duty.
Everybody is soaked, and that front-end loader dumped water more than once. And this is likely to spread. Afterwards, each officer challenged several others in the area to pay up and get dumped on. So they make a donation, but they're also standing out there under the water.
She still looked cold talking to the camera.
It was chilly. I bet they dried fast, though. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Community Corner is coming up next.